Okay, Prabhus. Let's do the Mangalacharan prayer and then we'll get started. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादां सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंदा। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे रामा राम राम हरे हरे। मत्समो नास्ति पापात्मा न पराधी च कश्चन परिहारेऽपि लज्जा मे किं ब्रुवे पुरुषोत्तमा। युवतीनां यथा यूनी यूनां च युवतौ यथा मनोभिरमते तद्वन्मनो मे रमतां त्वयि। भूमौ स्खलितपादानां भूमिरेवावलम्बनं त्वयि जाता परादानां त्वामेव शरणं प्रभो। गोविन्द वल्लभे राधे प्रार्थये त्वमहं सदा त्वदीयम् इति जानातु गोविन्दो मां त्वया सह। राधे वृन्दावनाधीशे करुणामृतवाहिनी कृपया निजपादाब्जा दास्यं मह्यं प्रदीयताम्। ऋणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना मानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः। कथञ्चन स्मृते यस्मिन् दुष्करं सुकरं भवेत् विस्मृते विपरीतं स्यात् श्रीचैतन्यं नमामि तम्। संसारदुःखजलदौ प्रतितस्य कामा क्रोधादिनक्रमकरे कवलीकृतस्य दुर्वासना निगडितस्य निराश्रयस्य चैतन्यचन्द्र मम देहि पदावलम्बम्। चैतन्यचन्द्र मम देहि पदावलम्बम्। Hare Krishna. So happy to see you, Anil Prabhu and Venkatrama Prabhu. How are you both doing? And do you have any questions, any other topics to discuss today?
No, Prabhu, I don't have any questions. No specific topic also, like you carry on with your
Okay.
topic.
Anil Prabhu?
I have wanted to talk about Sanchita Karma and Prarabdha Karma, Prabhu, but not that urgent, maybe sometime later on. So I wanted to understand what is Prarabdha Karma and Sanchita Karma. So, yeah, it's not that urgent, but whenever we are free and any other time.
Where did you hear about or read about them?
Here, there is a WhatsApp group called Krishna Bhakti in Varangal. So there is some post going on over there on Sankuchita Karma and then Prarabdha Karma. So I want to understand what is the difference between those two and how does Prarabdha Karma keeps going on from birth to birth until it takes up the fruitive action and then the karma comes into effect. No matter how many births you take up, maybe the karma was done somewhere 40-50 births back, but the karma got fruitive after many, many births. So that's prarabdha. But so I want to understand in depth of this. But now that Arjun Prabhu.
Sure.
Yeah.
I will actually, let's discuss that because you had that question. Let me get a book so that I will also give you some pramans. Let me get a book. Hold on a second. Okay. So this is a very good question, Prabhu. Whatever you have asked. So this is in detail. It is explained in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu.
Prabhu, one to add to this question, I have one more question. Like, I mean, if regarding this, like we are getting yachana sarira, right, after death. So after that, like we will be getting yachana sarira, and so whatever we did, like past, I mean, bad karmas. So in Narkaloka, like accordingly, like with that yachana sarira, the suffering will be there. I mean, they do the whatever
punishments,
right? With the yachana sarira. So that is karma is, I mean, whatever we are doing bad karmas, so we are getting yachana sarira, and their punishment is complete. But again, why when we take next life, so again, what remaining karma is coming, and why we are suffering? Yes,
okay, that will be covered in this question.
Okay, that's what I want to say.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Anil Prabhu and Venkatramana Prabhu. This is a very good question. So basically, the way karma works is, so Kleshagni, right? So the Kleshagni is, so there are 6 qualities of Uttama Bhakti. When we come to the devotional service, the Uttama Bhakti, which we are performing, the pure devotional service, there are 6 characteristics of this pure Bhakti. So what is that? One is Kleshagni, which destroys material suffering. And then is Shubhada, bestows auspiciousness. Moksha Lagnakrit, disregards liberation. So pure devotional service doesn't take into consideration that we want liberation. So that also disregards. That is Moksha Lagunakrit. And Sudurlabha, it is rarely attained. It's very, very, very rarely. Sudurlabha. Durlabha means rare. Sudurlabha means extremely rare. And Sandrananda Visheshatma. So it manifests condensed bliss. And Sri Krishna Akarshani. So it attracts Sri Krishna. So this is the qualities of Uttama Bhakti. And the first point is Kleshagni. So Kleshagni, Bhakti destroys the suffering. So the Klesha or the suffering is of threefold. One is the papam or the sinful reaction. And the papa bijam or the seed of the sin. And avidya is the ignorance. So I'll explain you with some examples. So somebody who has done something very, very abominable activity in the past, so that is sin. So that's called papam. It's a sinful reaction. So somebody has already committed sinful act, and that is called papam, which is manifested in the sinful reaction. There will be reaction for that. And then in the Vedas, basically, there are so many things. Okay, if you do this kind of things, you do Navagraha Puja. If you are suffering from this kind of a problem, you do this kind of vrata. If you don't have kids, you perform this vrata, you will have kids. If you want a son, you perform this vrata. If you want a job, you perform this. You want a good husband, good looking wife, you worship this goddess or this god. So all these things are there. And also, like suddenly, unknowingly or unknowingly, if somebody commits something, there are still some activities in the Vedas where you can do some yajna, you can do some activity to atone that particular sinful activity. Now, what happens is somebody, say in an anger, he killed a person, and he can atone that by doing some activity in the Vedas. But again, he gets angry. So the tendency, that is the root. So that is called the papam bijam. So that's called bijam. That's a seed of sin. That is also within us. So if you all observe carefully, we all have committed sins. And then after that, we thought this is not the right thing to do. I shouldn't have done that. And again, we commit that because the seed is there. No matter how many times you cut the branches, when the seed is present inside the soil, when the rain falls, again the seed will sprout out. Again, you cut it and the seed, again, it will start sprouting. So what you have to do is you have to just pluck it out, uproot it. So that is the only thing that removes the entire seed, entire roots and everything. So that's called, one is avidya, which is ignorance. Anybody who is undergoing suffering is because of avidya. And then there's a papa bijam, the papam itself, and klesha means the suffering. And the papam or the sinful reaction is of two types. One is aprarabdha karma, another is prarabdha karma. So you can think like this is a bank balance. Each time you commit a sinful activity, whatever the papam you commit, papakarya you do, that will be deposited in a bank account. So today you deposit 100 rupees, other time you deposit 2,000 rupees, other time you deposit 1 lakh rupees, 50,000 rupees, like that. You keep on depositing so that this will increase. So this is an account. And then sometime you also withdraw. When you deposit the money in the bank, so okay, I have say 1 crore bank balance. And today I have withdrawn 50,000 rupees. And after 2 months, I have withdrawn 1 lakh rupees. That withdrawn part is called prarabdha karma. And the thing that is already there in the account is called aprarabdha. It hasn't manifested yet. So for example, we are born and then, 50 years back, we don't have any disease. But recently, maybe somebody discovers that they have diabetes, or somebody discovers they have a kidney problem, something like that. So it is in their account. It is in their account as aprarabdha karma, which is unmanifested state, right? So only when it comes out, when it becomes fructified, that is called prarabdha karma. That means it starts showing up. The result starts showing up. So a person might have committed this sinful activity 100 lifetimes back. 100 lifetimes back, he committed the sin, but today they are taking out the sin. Now, to Venkatrama Prabhu's question, when a person dies, after the death, you will get a provisioned body. And that body is being dragged by deserts, fires, and everything. Within a very short time, they'll be dragged to the court of Yamraj. But the jiva goes through that fire, the desert, the thirst, hunger, and it as if it feels to that jiva that he has been traveling and he has been forced for a very, very long time, many, many months and years. And then they will look at his chart. Okay, what papa he has done and what punya he has done. So the account is so big. You do punya, your punya account is one bank account. You do papa, your bank account is another one. These two are different accounts. And if you have 100 units of papa, 100 units of punya, it won't nullify each other. So you still have the bank balance of 100 units of punya to take out and enjoy in future lives. Similarly, you also have your papa also to be taken out from time to time in your future lives. Now, a jiva commits so many things in one life that there is no possibility of him or her or that particular jiva to extinguish the entire punya or entire papa. Right? If you see, a person who is studying, after studying, he joins a job, then he buys a car and he's doing carbon emissions. All the gases that comes out of the car, he paid for it and is polluting the atmosphere. So it's papam, it's a sinful activity. So that is there. And people, they don't know and they start eating non-vegetarian food. So each time they eat, they are eating that animal, dead animal. So that they're consuming that, and that is a papam. Somebody drinks liquor, somebody does gambling. All this is accumulated. But when a person is eating, he eats for 60 years, 80 years, and he dies. He doesn't even know, right? That is avidya, ignorance. So he has accumulated so many papam, right? If a person is accustomed to eat meat, maybe he would have eaten or killed few lakhs of chickens and a few thousands and thousands of goats in his entire lifetime. Now just imagine if he has killed, if somebody, he did a bomb blast, if a terrorist did a bomb blast in a 100-story building and say 10,000 people died. Now what punishment can we give him? If you take it to the court, they'll kill him. They will hang him by death or life imprisonment, one of these. He has killed 10,000 people and he has, in that blast, 10,000 people are killed, another 5,000 people became disabled, right? Because of the blast, the building collapsed and something fell on somebody's leg, something fell on somebody's hand, or somebody lost their eyesight, and their families are suffering because of that. So if you have to put each and everything into his account is so big. And if you go to the government and it hangs that fellow, it's just one death. So if he killed 10,000 people and if he's getting one death, then what is the justice here? It's not justice, right? He has to be killed 10,000 times. And each family that he has suffered, he has to have a reaction for all those things. But he's not getting all that in one lifetime. It is not possible. If at all, even if somebody wants to do like that, they cannot sustain. Because as part of this, they might have also done a little bit of punya. Okay. Even after doing all these blasts, they got some donations here, there, and then they would have helped some people, some organizations. They gave food to somebody, right? So their little bit of punya is also there. So our papa is, each time it's like a stack. Each time they put it into that, and it's a huge account. And our punya is also a huge account. And this is one lifetime, one activity of a bomb blast. Now just imagine somebody of the tendency, they are doing these activities, killing so many people, robbing people, or cheating people, lying to people, or twisting the accounts, or using others' property, using others' resources unknowingly. All these things, it's accounted. So everything is an aprarabdha karma. So it's in the bucket of aprarabdha karma. It is storing for future for you to come out. Now, when a person dies, this person is taken to the Yamaraj court, and then they'll see the charts, and then they'll give him some punishments. They cannot give like full punishment where everything is zero. They'll give some punishments, and based on that person's, that jiva's inclination, they'll also train him. For example, if somebody is so accustomed to eating whatever they want, drink whatever they want, and have illicit relationships, whatever they want. So the God, he feels merciful. Okay, this fellow wants to live like that. So he will give the life of a hog. So hog doesn't have any relationships, restrictions in relationships. It goes and mates with everybody. Mother, sister, daughter, it doesn't matter. And then it eats all the abominable things. It drinks everything. So basically, they will train this particular person. After giving his due course of punishment, they will train. Their sense of smell is different. It is trained. It is trained to eat the stool. And then they will give this jiva some birth in some location where it eats all the abominable thing. Now, if this hog is eating something abominable in the gutters, and next to that, if you put gulab jamun, a nicely flavored gulab jamun, it rejects it because it is trained and is accustomed to eat that. So in that body, it is. So that is why in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita it said, Shrotram chakshuhu sparshanam cha rasanam granam eva cha adhishtaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. So they get a different type of eyes, a different types of nose, a different types of ears and taste buds. And based on that, they will get their next. So as the jivas, like, the air, when the air is flowing on a rose garden or a lily garden, and you're walking in that garden, you got a nice, beautiful smell. Very fragrant, lily fragrant or rose flowers. And at the same time, if somebody is passing through gutters or some garbage, all the air that is traveling mixes with that, and it smells very bad. Similarly, the living entity, the association they keep, they carry these aromas, the vasanas, into the next life. So if somebody is accustomed and he is associating with drinking people, so that is carried over. As the air mixed with flowers get flower smell and garbage is garbage smell, these people also get those attributes and they get accustomed to that kind of a lifestyle, a particular type of fun, so-called fun that they have, a particular life of eating habits, drinking habits, so all those. So it is very important on what we associate. Now that is aprarabdha karma. Aprarabdha karma is all the karma quota which is not yet manifested. And then from time to time, it will manifest. Okay, at the age of 25 years, okay, he should get back pain. At the age of 35 years, he should get some liver problem. At the age of 55, he should get diabetes. So that is called prarabdha. Anything that is taken away from our source containers, and then it is fructified. So that fructified karma is called prarabdha karma. And there is so much aprarabdha karma which is waiting to be fructified. So that which is already manifested is prarabdha karma. That which is yet to be manifested is aprarabdha karma. So these are the two things which is already a sinful reaction is there. This is all sinful reactions. Now there is a sinful tendency, the seed of the sin. So a person thinks that, okay, he's a smoker, for example. He's smoking for years and then one time he takes a vow. Okay, I will never smoke and I'll stop smoking. So in that whole month, he stops. And again, slowly, when he goes into the association, again, he takes the smoking. Because the seed is still there. Although he wants to stop that smoking habit, the seed is still there. As I told the example, when the seed is there and in summer season, it's okay. But when the rain falls, it will again fructify. It will produce leaves and it starts growing. The weed starts growing. So similarly, this fellow who stopped smoking, when they see all these other friends who are smoking, it's like a rainfall. And again, it's like a calling. So that bija is there. Right? That bija is called papa bija, or the seed of sin. So that material desire, right? there is a seed of desire, and people fulfill that becomes papa, and at some points they restrict, but the seed is still there. So that is called the root. That's called the papa bija. So this papa bija has to be broken. That is why in Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second shloka says, Dharma projita kaitavotra paramo nirmatsaranam satam vedyam vastavam vastu shivadam tapatrayo unmoolanam. Tapatraya unmoolanam. So tapatraya means all the miseries. So when somebody takes to Bhagavatam, when somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, when somebody is taking to pure devotional service, all the tapatraya is unmoolanam, is rooted out. So there is no chance of again, that seed itself is destroyed. The sinful tendency is destroyed. Say if somebody is accustomed to eating meat, it's very hard to give up. The desire is still there. Although, they'll say that, okay, some people do this. In December, they'll wear all the black clothes, and then they will be very strict for about, they don't shave and everything. For about a month, they'll fast, and they do not eat any meat. After that, they'll start eating. So this tapatraya unmulana, when it's rooted out, then the whole tendency is gone. So at the time, the propensity of even that sinful activity will go away. So that is called, so we discussed papam. Papam is of two types, aprarabdha karma, prarabdha karma. Aprarabdha is that which is in your account, but it is not manifested. Whatever is manifested and showing up, that is called prarabdha karma. Avidya is ignorance, and papa bijam is the seed, and klesha is a suffering. So this bhakti destroys 4 types of papa. Padma Purana says, aprarabdha phalam papam kutam bijam phalonmukham kramenaiva praliyeta Vishnu bhakti ratamanam. 4 types of effects of sinful acts, namely aprarabdha, kutam, bijam, and phalonmukham, are gradually destroyed for those who are engaged in bhakti. If somebody is engaged in bhakti, all these 4 types of things are removed. So bijam in this verse is different from the papa bijam in verse 18, as the context of their usage are different, namely sinful desires and sinful reactions respectively. The previous bijam referred to material desires that makes one perform sinful activities. The present bijam refers to sinful reaction nearing fruition and are lying in the form of impressions, vasanas. Kutam is a sinful reaction which are about to become bijam, effects that are ready to produce the seed. So even to produce a seed, the first of all is aprarabdha karma. Aprarabdha is all the things that is not yet manifested. And then the kutam. Kutam is because the tendency, the desire is so strong, before the seed is formed, the kutam is formed. That is sinful reaction which is about to become bijam. And bijam is sinful reaction which are about to be experienced and are in the form of impressions, vasanas. And prarabdha karma and phalanmukam are same. Sinful reactions which are already mature and are being experienced in the present life. So these are all very detailedly given in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. So this is what happens when we perform bhakti. So any questions? Anil Prabhu, did that clarify your question? And Venkatrama Prabhu, GK Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
So beautiful explain, Prabhu.
Your question is addressed, Anil Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Venkatrama Prabhu?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. But Prabhu, with respect to Yachana Sarira, So you are telling like too much sinful activities when we do. So like when we take next life, if we can't take those, I mean, we can't take that much suffering. So that punishment we get with Yachana Sharira in Narakaloka itself.
Yes. So Yachana Sharira, Narakaloka, all these things is a transition period, right? There is a punishment period. It will not clear up your entire account. Only a portion of the things are given, and your kutam still remains same. Your bijam, your seeds will still remain the same, and then your prarabdha karma is also there. Some of that is manifested. Some of the severe aspects you will get punishment in hellish life. And see, not only hellish, after giving this birth in this body, it means that you are ready for more punishments now. The moment somebody is born means that their papa is not destroyed. Their sinful reactions are not destroyed. That is the only reason they take birth. If somebody's account is 0, net 0, then they won't take birth. So because there is a balance, people take birth and people celebrate the birth of people. It's actually it's not a celebration event for the jiva, because anytime somebody is born, they have to go through all these miseries and then finally die. But on a positive note, when somebody is born, this body can be used in a proper way as a proper vehicle to take to the spirituality, understand Srimad Bhagavatam, get closer to Krishna, perform this bhakti where everything is destroyed. Your prarabdha karma is destroyed, your aprarabdha karma is destroyed, and then your papam, bijam, kutam, everything is destroyed. And the root out, all the things, the seeds and everything is taken away. So then there is no scope of future sinful tendencies or reactions. So as we progress in bhakti, that happens. But yeah, when somebody is being taken to the Yamaraj court, it's not that they'll make the account 0 and send again. So they'll punish to a certain extent, and then they'll, based on the inclinations, based on what is the desire at the time of the death, all through the life, what is this particular jiva's desires. Based on the desires, one gets the future lives. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam eva iti kaunteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Whatever the thought process, this is told in Bhagavad Gita, whatever the thought process somebody holds at the time of death, that they become in the next life. So if somebody is so much attached to a building, then they will get something related to that building. If somebody is attached to a woman, they'll get a woman's body. If somebody is attached to a man, they get man's body. A certain type of a face, they get that certain type of face. Right? So that is what is told in Bhagavad Gita. Okay, Venkatrama Prabhu, any further questions?
Yes, Prabhu, like, so see, now we are controlling, suppose if you say like 4 regulative principles like meat eating, like gambling, or but that tendency, like in the mind, still that tendency, like whenever we see, sometimes that triggers, I mean, even though we won't, I mean, go and eat meat and all, but that triggers, so like how that much, even though, I mean, we need to remove that also, like you are telling, like we need to remove the entire plant, so then only the seed will not come again.
Correct.
So
correct.
that how to remove from our mind, Prabhupada. So even though we are following 4 regulative principles, but the tendency still we feel like, so whenever we see like a beautiful girl, I mean, in the like watching TV or something, some news, or some good smell is coming, like we, so that tendency, like our mind will focus there itself. I mean, it will go because of our past actions are there, right?
Right.
So like with that, like so like how much bhakti that like when we do like too much, I mean, I understand, like if you do I mean, we are completely move to the spiritual world. Like we always think of Krishna. We do always. I mean, everything. Then I think that will go off. But to reach that stage, so because of this material attractions, we may fall down. Like how to proceed?
Yeah. So good question, Prabhu. So basically, when you are performing bhakti, all these things are automatically taken care. And then when you stop these main 4 pillars of sinful activities, no meat eating, no gambling. So no meat eating means you will develop mercy, right? Karuna. Before that, you don't have the mercy. That is why ruthlessly they kill the animals and they eat the animal. So there is no mercy aspect there. And then people who engage in these illicit relationships, they cannot maintain the cleanliness. So cleanliness cannot be in their self. So basically, when they start restricting themselves from illicit sex, then illicit relationships, then they can develop the cleanliness. And then somebody who is used to gambling, they cannot be truthful. So only when they stop that, they can be truthful. They can be truthful about their progress, everything. And like that, no gambling, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no intoxication. So when you intoxicate, when you indulge in intoxication, you cannot maintain any austerities or vows. So it's hard to maintain any vow. So that is why this is the basic thing. Now, when this basic thing is there, when you surrender and when you take to this process, and Krishna also told, Ye tamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. To the degree a person is surrendered to the process, to the degree a person is following the process, to that degree he will see the effect, or to that degree he will attain Krishna. If somebody is touching waters, okay, I will do 20% bhakti, 80% I'll do material activities. So Krishna also will only reveal 20%, 80% let him. Right? 1 second. Amma Telugu class రేపు ఉంది. ఈ రోజు జాయిన్ అవ్వడం మరి.
అవునా నాన్న, నేను ఇవాళ వస్తాను అనుకుంటాను. హరే కృష్ణ.
నువ్వు డ్రాప్ అయిపో, రేపు
హరే కృష్ణ.
So that is the main thing. So they have to first follow these 4 regulative principles, and not only that, they have to chant. So as we are chanting, right, we'll slowly, Krishna will give, as we chant and we hear the mantra, slowly we will get all the things that we require to progress in the bhakti. And then when you start reading Bhagavatam, it is like fire, right? So whether a person knows that if you put a finger in the fire, it will burn, a person does not know, a person forcibly puts the finger in the fire. In any situation, a small kid puts the finger, or an old man, knowingly, everything, educated person puts the finger, it will burn. Effect is there. Burning effect is there. So when you read Bhagavatam, whether you understand or not, whether you believe or not, whether you trust or not, you will get the benefit. So that is the beginning. But you should have faith. Adav Shraddha. You should definitely have a little bit of faith. And then you should have devotee association. Adav Shraddha, Tatas Sadhu Sangha, Thav Bhajana Kriya. Then you should take initiation. So you should try to progress in your bhakti, and you should try to follow. You should try to read Bhagavatam and also follow, imbibe the essence of Bhagavatam. Right? Pravishta Karna Randrena Swanam Bhavasaroruham Dhunoti Shamalam Krishna Shalilasya Yatasharat. As soon as somebody starts hearing Bhagavatam or reading Bhagavatam, the Bhagavatam enters the ear holes. And Krishna will sit in that person's heart, establish himself in the heart in a lotus flower, and removes anything that is all the anarthas from that person's heart. Like lust, anger, greed, slowly everything Krishna will remove. So what is the step? What we have to do is we have to allow Krishna to enter through our ears. Pravishta Karnarandrena. So basically we should start reading Bhagavatam or hear Bhagavatam. So there is this book Bhagavatam, which Bhagavata Granda. And then there is a devotee Bhagavatam, a person who is living the life of a Bhagavata. If you should hear, serve that person, at the same time you should read Bhagavatam, then you will definitely see the effect. And somebody who is still attached to material, this thing, if you keep on reading Bhagavatam, you will see so many kings' lives and so much information is given. And with that information, if you are sincere, transformation will also happen. So after a certain point, you will come to a point where unknowingly these propensities will drop off unknowingly. You do not have to do any endeavor. Initially, you may have to do endeavor, but later it's not required. It takes some time, but you should follow the process with good faith and have devotee association. And another very important aspect is you should not do any aparads. See, one other thing is getting to devotional service is very, very, very rare. Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu kaschid yadati siddhaye yadatam api siddhanam kaschinma veti tattvataha. Out of hundreds and thousands of men, one will look for perfection, like the siddhas, the yoga siddhas and all that. But out of hundreds and thousands of those people who achieve the siddhas, perfection, hardly one knows main truth. So Krishna says, hardly one knows main truth. That means it's very rare. And then he says, Bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudeva sarvamiti samahatma sudurlabha. Bahunam janmanamante. After many births and deaths, jnanavan mam prapadyate. One who is extremely intelligent will take shelter of Krishna. Vasudeva sarvamiti. He come to a conclusion, Vasudeva, Krishna is everything. Sa Mahatma Sudurlabha. That person is Mahatma, and such a person is very rare, extremely rare. Durlabha is rare, Sudurlabha is extremely rare. So coming to this point is good. And then having a devotee association is good. Now here, what we have to do is the only thing that we have to protect after entering into devotional service is we should not do any Vaishnava aparad. And who is a Vaishnava? So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that anybody who says Krishna name once in their lifetime, he is a Vaishnava. And again, after a few years, the devotees will ask, who is a Vaishnava? Then he says, this is gradation of Vaishnavas. Then he says, somebody who is committed in the bhakti. And after a few years, again they will ask. As soon as you see somebody, you will start chanting. Like if you see your Guru Maharaj or, very nice devotee, you say, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna Mataji, right? You chant the name as soon as you see the devotee. They are like Uttama Bhaktas. They are like pure devotees. So, all are Vaishnavas, right? In this journey, we may, like if a train is going from, Delhi to Tirupati, for example, a person may board the train in Delhi, but another person may board the train in Hyderabad itself. He may be younger than us. He boarded the train later than us, but he might reach the destination sooner than us, right? We have started at that point. Some people would have done this bhakti in the previous lives itself. They would have completed 80% of the bhakti, but they could not finish. They took another body. And they're very young. Some people in the devotee kids, if you see, right, they are chanting shlokas, and some people take shelter of gurus at the age of 8 years, 9 years, very small kids. And then they are very advanced. So we cannot even offend the kids also. So what to speak of another person? If somebody is coming to temple, that means they are worshipable. If without Krishna's sanction, they cannot come to a temple. Without Krishna's sanction, they cannot come to an association. If Krishna doesn't have a problem, why do we have a problem? So, we should be very careful not to offend the devotees. That offensive mentality, if we have, we should be even more careful. right? We have to see everybody as Prabhu, and we have to be very careful. So before starting Radha Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu recited 2 verses. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagaditaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namah. He offered this prayer, and then he said this sloka which I am going to recite. Before he inaugurated Radha Yatra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Lord Krishna himself, Radharani and Krishna himself. He said, Naham Vipro na Chanarapatir Napi Vaishyo na Shudro Naham Varni na Chagrihapatir No Vanasto Yatirva Kintu Prodhyam Nikila Paramananda Purnamrutabdher Gopi Paradur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Anudasaha. Naham Vipro, I am not a Brahmana. Nacha Narapatir, I am not a king, I am not a Kshatriya. Na Vaishyo na Shudro, I am not a Vaishya, I am not a Shudra. Naham Varni na Grihapatir, I am not a Brahmachari or Grihastha. No Vanasto Yatirva, I am not a Sannyasi or Vanapastha. Then who am I? Gopi Paradur Padakamalayur Dasa Dasa Dasanu Dasa. I am the servant of 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 the Lord who is maintaining the gopis. So Krishna's servants, 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 servants. To how many degrees you put that, you will get that much benefit in bhakti. If you feel that we have some entitlement here, okay, I'm a senior devotee, I've been chanting for 20 years, I'm chanting for 5 years, 10 years. That is not the qualification to attain Krishna. If somebody genuinely feels that he is the servant of the servant of the servant, the person who is giving the class also, even the Guru himself who gives the Diksha, the Guru himself will give the Diksha to this person and he thinks that he is Prabhu. Let me serve him by giving Diksha. If Guru himself is thinking like that, what is our problem? We should be extremely, extremely careful about these Vaishnava aparats. So entering into devotional service is rare. And once we enter, protecting our Bhaktilata Bij is very, very important. So Bhaktilata Bij is compared to when you put a seed, a small Bhaktilata Bij is sprouting up. It's like a tiga, right? And it is going around, and then, it is growing. And then it pierces the material coverings and this earth. And after that, all the higher planetary systems, it will go. It pierces the Viraja river and the material realm. And then it enters the Vaikunta, then Ayodhya, then Goloka Vrindavan, and to the lotus feet of Krishna. And it bears fruit there. So that is our Bhaktilata Bij. So right now, it is not there. It's somewhere like a small plant. It's a creeper. Started. Now, if you do an offense, it's like letting loose a mad elephant into the garden of your bhakti. Now just imagine in your garden, you have a small plant coming up and you let loose a mad elephant within a moment. If an elephant is, you go and watch some YouTube videos. If an elephant is angry with his trunk, it'll remove it'll remove the car and it'll put it upside down. It'll pluck out the tree. And then if it runs like ferociously here and there, or it will trample everything in its space. So somebody who has that kind of a tendency, then they will spoil the whole thing. So that is what we have to be careful. So entering to bhakti is one aspect, and then having devotee association and doing our sadhana very nicely, chanting 16 rounds attentively, reading Bhagavatam every day. And the most important thing is not to do any Vaishnava aparat. So these things, if you do sincerely, then success is 100% guaranteed. It's guaranteed. Okay, Venkatrama Prabhu, did that address?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Thanks, Prabhu. Thanks.
Yeah. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavad Pranam Prabhuji.
GK Prabhu, Dandavad Pranam.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I joined like 15 minutes late, but I was hearing about aparads. I have one question, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Now, Srila, I heard, few weeks back in our one of the Bhakti Vriksha, we had a discussion like whoever chants 16 rounds, they are they are away from all the sins and they are cleansed. And for the next 16 or 30 generations, everybody is like gonna go to Golokadham. One of the Srila Prabhupada's teaching, he said that means very few people will be chanting 16 rounds. But if you chant 16, if you start just Hare Krishna Maha Mantra of 16 rounds, then it's like you are guaranteed to go to Golokadham. So where does this aparadas come into picture then if we are destined to go to Golokadham?
You are destined to go to Golokadham, but whether you will go to Golokadham in this lifetime or after 1 million lifetimes or after 1 billion lifetimes or after 1 trillion lifetimes or after 1 quadrillion lifetimes, we don't know. It's guaranteed. If somebody, it is guaranteed. It is not so easy to go to Golok Vrindavan. Just like that. So, a devotee should be 100% surrendered. Without surrender, and also I'll show you one more Brahman. This is not like a fruitive activity. If somebody thinks like that, this is a fruitive activity, that is also an aparadha. Yeah. So these are the 10 offenses to the holy name from Padma Purana. So the 8th offense is Dharma Vrata Tyaga Hutadi Sarva Shubhakriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. To consider the chanting of the Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda. So somebody has a problem, he's not getting married, or they are not having children. So there are some fruitive activities you can perform, Karma Kanda activities in the Vedas. If you do those rituals, you will beget a son or a daughter. You will get children. So to consider chanting the Hare Krishna mantra is also something like that auspicious ritualistic activity. Like, okay, in 60 generations will be saved if I chant Hare Krishna mantra. Then that is, thinking like this is also an aparadha. So unless and until one is cleansed of all these aparadhas given here, there is no scope of going to Goloka. But yes, we should not lose faith, because Krishna told Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato vayat. Krishna told Swalpamapyasya dharmasya. Even a little bit of endeavor you do in devotional service, it will save you from the greatest danger. But when it will save, we don't know. Gajendra, in the previous life, we all heard about Gajendra Moksham, right? In the previous life, he's King Indradyumna. And that King Indradyumna is a very pious king. And then he knows the value of life. So he has left his family, his kingdom, everything, all his riches. And he went to the forest just alone. And in his kutir, he's doing his bhajan. He's doing his deity worship and everything. While he's performing deity worship, Agastya Muni along with his disciples come into that ashram. He does not receive them properly. He does not receive those people properly. So Agastya Muni says, you are like this big man, and then you didn't even properly receive me. And then he immediately curses him that in the next life you'll become an elephant, because your body is like an elephant. You don't know how to invite a Brahmana into your house, a sage into your house. So he became that, and then he is the king of the elephants, because he has so much pious activities. He became the elephants also, he is the king. And in the in the paradise, in the heavenly abode, celestial abode, he took birth. So there is a Trikuta mountain in that area. When he is walking, when he puts his steps, the whole mountain used to tremble. Very strong elephant. He goes into the water and then the crocodile catches him. And then there is a struggle that he wants to come out to the land and the crocodile pulls him in. He wants to come out, the crocodile pulls him back and forth, back and forth. It goes on for 1,000 years. So after 1,000 years, then he gives up. Okay, I think I'm going to die now. He becomes weak and the crocodile becomes more strong, more enthusiastic. Then he realizes he got the smriti of his previous life, and then he starts offering prayers. So it took 1,000 years for that elephant to recollect what he has done. Yes, whatever he has done in his previous life, the bhakti, it did not get erased. It will show up, definitely it will show up in the next life. But after 1,000 years, in that life, he suffered in the clutches of crocodile for 1,000 years in that lake. He was fighting. So somebody like Draupadi, for example, she was dragged into the assembly, and then in that assembly, it is few minutes. She came to the assembly and then she's crying and then she's talking to the king, Dhritarashtra, please, you should intervene, you should stop this. She looked at Dronacharya, Bhishma Dev, and nobody could help her. And finally, when Dushasan, he has 1,000 elephants strength, and when he's disrobing her, she just lifts her hand and says, "Hey Krishna, hey Govinda, please help." And then Krishna immediately came to help. So Krishna can immediately give the help to somebody, or Krishna can take 1,000 years and let that elephant suffer in the clutches of crocodile for 1,000 years. So that is Krishna's jurisdiction. Our thing is only surrender to Krishna and perform bhakti. When Krishna will reciprocate, how Krishna will reciprocate, when we will go to Golaka Vrindavan, that is up to Krishna. I'll give you one more example. Uttara. Uttara is wife of, she's the daughter-in-law of Arjuna. Arjuna's son is Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu's wife is Uttara. So she's a teenage girl. She got married and she became, pregnant, newly married. And her husband, Abhimanyu, he goes to the Chakravyuha and he never comes back. He died there. So after a few days, the 18 days war is done, and then Ashwatthama, he releases a Brahmastra into the Uttara's womb to kill Parikshit Maharaj. And at that time, Uttara, what she could have done? Krishna did not even save my husband. My husband went to the war and he allowed him to die. Why should again I pray to him? Let me find another god. She did not do like that. She prayed, "Oh Krishna, Krishna, Mahabaho, please help me." And she again approached Krishna. So Krishna saved this time. So first time, Krishna did not save Abhimanyu, but here Krishna saved. So from what we have to do is, we have to do a sincere endeavor of getting into Krishna consciousness, surrender to the Lord, follow the process. And then when Krishna will give the result, we don't know. And we should be extremely careful of all these offenses, because these offenses, what will happen is it will distance us from the bhakti. Sometimes even the faith is gone. Like if somebody becomes too much a blasphemer, his bhakti is also broken. He will lose the bhakti. And Ambarish Maharaj is, he was fasting for a year. And then sage Durvasa comes and all his disciples, 60,000 disciples comes. And he says that we'll go to take bath and come. So he goes for a bath and it's taking more longer. After Ekadashi, we see that some time in the Dvadashi and we break the fast. So similarly, Durvasa Muni, he wanted to break the fast, but his guest is there in his house. Durvasa Muni came and is a guest. So out of etiquette, you have to first feed the guest before you eat. So he was waiting, but that time is getting over. When the time goes out of that window of breaking the fast, you won't get the 100% benefit of doing that fast itself. So then he consulted all the Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and they all suggested, you take a sip of water. If you take water, it's breaking fast and not breaking fast, both simultaneously. Then he takes one sip of water and he drinks. And this Durvasa Muni, he knows everything. So he came to know that Ambarish Maharaj sipped water. He took some water without feeding him first. He got angry and he created a fireball to kill Ambarish. And he threw that fireball against Ambarish Maharaj. And that fireball is coming to Ambarish Maharaj. Ambarish Maharaj is a grihastha. He has a wife. He has children. He has a palace. But he's such an exalted devotee. He did not take one step back. He was so surrendered to the Lord. Okay, if this fire thing kills me, that's fine. If that is Krishna's will, let it happen. So the fireball is coming. And the other side, Durvasa Muni, he's a sage. He's a renunciant. He's not married. He doesn't have children. He never discharged semen. He's such a powerful sage. But he threw that fireball. So when that fireball is coming, Krishna, he immediately sent his Sudarshan Chakra. He doesn't want his devotee to be perished. Name Bhakta Pranashyati. So the Sudarshan Chakra comes and it will burn the fireball. So if something is burned, ash is formed. If Sudarshan Chakra burns the fire itself, nothing, it becomes nothing. And then that Sudarshan Chakra is now following Durvasa Muni. You offended my devotee. So it is following him. The heat of the Sudarshan Chakra is so much. Durvasa Muni is running as fast as he could. He's running so fast that, Sudarshan Chakra is following wherever he goes. First he goes to Lord Shiva. Oh Lord Shiva, please help me from this Sudarshan Chakra. He says that first he goes to Brahma. Brahma says, I don't have this power. When I have this kind of a problem, maybe you can go to Shiva. Then he goes to Shiva. He runs to Shiva Loka and Kailas and he will ask Lord Shiva. He says, I also don't have any power. So you go to Vishnu. Then from there he runs to Vishnu Loka. And Lord Vishnu says that I don't have the power to stop an offense done to my devotee. Lord Vishnu says this. This is in Bhagavatam. He says that I don't have the power to stop. You have offended my devotee. Only way you have to do is you go to the devotee and ask forgiveness. So otherwise you cannot escape from Sudarshan Chakra. So immediately he starts running back, and then he falls at the feet of Ambarish Maharaj. And Ambarish Maharaj prays, oh Sudarshan Chakra, please help. Let that heat go away. Let him be saved. And then he is saved. Now, after praying, after he falls at the feet of the Vaishnava whom he offended, his offense is nullified. So Vaishnava Aparadh is not nullified even if you pray to Krishna. Even if you do anything, Vaishnava Aparadh is not nullified. The only way Vaishnava Aparadh is nullified is you should ask forgiveness to that devotee, with that devotee. So we should be extremely careful in the first place not to offend. In case if we smell, sometimes, if you see, did I do an offense? Maybe I have done. If you have a trace of this thing, then you should immediately say, first you should say, please forgive me, Prabhu. Please forgive me, Mataji. If I done any offenses, knowingly or unknowingly, if I committed any offenses, please forgive me. You should ask that. And if something happens, your super soul will tell you later. You will have in your core of your heart, I shouldn't have done this to that devotee. So if you feel like that, you better go and ask forgiveness. And usually Vaishnavas, every time they'll forgive. And so if somebody comes and asks us forgiveness, see, got your punishment, right? Now we are coming and asking forgiveness, right? We should not say like that. Anybody, whatever the thing that we do, if somebody asks forgiveness to us, we should immediately forgive. That is a Vaishnava quality. And as soon as somebody genuinely asks forgiveness, their offense is removed. So it is not true that just by chanting and the question of offense doesn't arise. I mean, if you chant very attentively and very purely, yes, you will not offend anyone, first of all. But it's very, very important. And it's true that when you chant, you definitely reach Golok Vrindavan. But how many lifetimes, we don't know. Okay, GK Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Like,
But very wonderful question.
yeah, we were discussing on the 10th chapter, sloka 5. So about, Krishna thing. Yeah. Then this came.
Okay. Yeah, and certainly there are a lot of things that even if you see a guru and then if you do not offer prostrated obeisances, it's an offense. If you see any pure devotee and if you do not offer obeisances, it's an offense. And if anybody who is a higher authority than you and you start speaking in front of them, that is also considered Maryada Vyatikramana. So we should be very careful, especially in the devotee circles. We should be very, very careful. And only by humble attitude, we can cross over. We can learn to overcome all this. And if somebody is not following these things, you are not a policeman to correct them. But we have to protect our own devotion first. If somebody is not following these things, it will affect them, but not you. But we should be extremely careful not to offend devotees. And if at all any traces of offense, anytime if we see, we should ask forgiveness. So with that note, Anil Prabhu, Venkatrama Prabhu, GK Prabhu, and all the people who watch this video in future, if at all, if I have committed any offenses knowingly or unknowingly, please forgive me. Right? So we should ensure that these are some of the ingredients so that our bhakti grows. Okay. It's more than an hour now. Anybody has any questions? Any more follow-up? Or we can stop here. And next week we can continue reading Upadeshamrita, Nectar of Instruction.
Sure, Prabhu.
Okay. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhye prachapatitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Jai. Vrinda ki jai.
Dhanyavad.